Everybody, this is Bryan Hogue. Welcome to Chillin' Night Live, where from 8 p.m. Eastern Time till 9 p.m. we'll sit here and we'll talk about all things horror, science fiction, paranormal. You pick the topic, we'll make a show out of it, basically. And last week, a topic was selected by one of you fine, frightening folks. One of you viewers decided tonight's topic would be favorite werewolf movie. So we'll talk about that amongst a plethora of other things. Tom Paisley says, hello. Hey, Tom, thanks for joining us. Laser says, first. Oh, well. Nice try, Laser. Tom says, he got right in there. Tom. Oh. Laser says, well done, good sir. Yes. How's everybody doing this week? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Trying to think if we missed any birthdays this week. Normally we have a birthday pop up here, so if anyone's had a birthday, just give me a mention and we'll acknowledge it here. As last week the topic was selected to be favorite werewolf movies. So I dug out some of my VHS. Got one back here in my DVD collection, Universal Monsters. This one has, of course, it has the Wolfman. It's got, also includes Werewolf of London, which is right here. Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. She-Wolf of London. I don't have that one up here, but pretty cool. All right, so, and of course we got the Wolfman, the classic Wolfman movie, and one of my absolute favorite werewolf movies is The Curse of the Werewolf, a Hammer horror movie starring Oliver Reed. So Al says, hey, hi everyone, Rex, my pet werewolf, and me have been waiting all week for this week's show. All right, well, we're glad you and Rex made it. Richard says, very cool. Thanks, Richard, for joining us. Laser says, sorry, Brian, I don't have a favorite werewolf movie. Oh, well, you have to sit this whole episode out then, Laser. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Well, maybe you will develop a favorite werewolf movie during the course, the duration of this episode dealing with werewolves. So, or maybe you have several favorite ones. I don't know what to tell you. John says, it's that time again. While you're watching for the big weekend, enjoy the pregame entertainment. It's time again for Chiller Night Live. This is Crozak the Grand, and now here's our favorite horror cheerleader. Here's Bryan Hogue. Well, thank you, Crozak the Grand and John. Always appreciate your elaborate intros. So, Bonehead says, hey, hello, Chiller Night crew. And Brian and Tom and Laser, hey, Bonehead, thanks for joining us. Oh, Bonehead says Dog Soldiers. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's one right out the gate. Tom says Wolfen, but the book, not the movie. Some people prefer the novelizations, or the novels, and then most of the time they make the books, or the movies based off of that. Richard says, how about Jack Nicholson and Wolf? There you go. That's that came out in the 90s, right? I'm trying to think of when that was. Al says, yes, Bonehead, Dog Soldiers is the best. Bonehead says, glad to hear from you, Tom Paisley. Missed you, buddy. Yeah, that's right. I think we missed you I think it might have been last week. But, hey, speaking of werewolves, last Saturday night on Stream TV, now, Stream TV is still playing Chiller Night Theater episodes. So at 9 o'clock last Saturday, they played Werewolf of Washington. So there was a werewolf movie. Not a bad movie. Not a bad movie. You can tell that the makeup effects were, inspired by the Wolfman costume. So there are. I mean, look at the right here is a good example of three different types of Wolfman. There's Lon Chaney Jr., of course, with that that very classic snout, and then The Curse of the Werewolf with Oliver Reed. Very cool. Less of a dog feature and more of the ears up on the top of the head, and then the Werewolf of London with Henry Hall, actually done before the Wolfman, and just kind of a weird look. And he walks around with his hat and his. It's more, it reminds me more of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of movie, but pretty cool, pretty cool. American Werewolf in London, Richard says, yes. That was a really, really good one. I remember seeing that when that first came out. Let's see, Lasercorn says, oh, Dog Soldiers was a good one. John says, next to Werewolf of London, the Werewolf movie starring Paul Nashier on my list. Oh, yes! Baltimore Daninsky. Isn't that his character, Paul Nashie's character, who turns into the werewolf? He made quite a bit of those movies, didn't he? Gosh, it wouldn't surprise me if they said he made a dozen of those. He made a lot of those movies. With his character, that Daninsky character. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and he was a cool-looking werewolf in those movies. Did quite a bit of them. Richard says, 1994 on the Jack Nicholson movie. Ah, okay. I remember going to the theater to see that. So, but it says, I never knew Wolfen was a book. I thought the movie was good, now I want to read that book. Going to put up the Wolfman. Remember these it was a Crest House or something publications. I remember I have one of these books. Mine is of Dracula or Frank? I think it's Dracula, the one I have. I used to read those all the time as a kid. That, and I had to do this. I had to pull up the Aurora model kit. Remember those? I don't know how old a lot of you viewers are, but when I was a kid, these were just super cool. Yeah. So, let's see. Tom says, Wolf was early 90s. Remember doing a tour of the Bradbury building in LA just after it was released. Oh, yeah? That's cool. Bonet says, yep. Al B. And of course, at a very close second is Lon Chaney Jr. original, Universal's Wolfman. Tom says, Bradbury building was in Blade Runner 2. Was wet apartment building where J. Sebastian lived. See, I don't recall the name of the building. Sounds familiar, but maybe I'm just thinking of Ray Bradbury, the name. But I don't recall that building in the... I saw Wolf one time, and that was in the theater when it first came out. So I'm not doing well on remembering too many details with that. Laser says, you get extra credit, Tom. Yes. Yes. John Wayne says, hello, everyone. And Bonehead says, well, hello, Pilgrim. Yeah, you're still John Wayne this week, SBC. I think that's funny. Paul says, hey there, my brother. Are you and Ava Manos? Oh, how are you? Manos says, hi. Hi, family. Hi, John Wayne. Do not forget the howling. The howling? Excellent. Speaking of John Wayne, I had to put this up here because the one Western hero that would no doubt have no problem with a werewolf is the Lone Ranger. My version of the Lone Ranger, but if you want to see the real Lone Ranger, try to get it without any glare. There is an actual autographed picture. It's certified, authentic autograph of Clayton Moore, the real Lone Ranger. So, the silver bullets. Remember the silver bullets? So, all right. That was my costume several years ago for Halloween when I was passing out candy. No, I went to a Halloween party and I also did that. So, Al says, I had the Wolfman model as a kid. Those were the best. But it says, where's our extraterrestrial emoji explosions Miss Ray Cruz at tonight? You out there, Miss Renee? Yeah, I know. Tom says, me too, Brian, not a memorable movie. Yeah, I remember very few details about that movie. Jack Nicholson and not Anthony Michael Hall. Who's the guy? Who was the guy who was in there with him? The guy who played on Boston Legal. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Let's not forget that I am an avid ufologist myself, Bonehead Laser says. Dean Stockwell was the werewolf. Oh, yeah, in Werewolf of Washington. Yes. Bonehead says, we Ians are all going to laugh, but I've never seen The Howling yet. I know. I really got to watch that someday. Yeah, you better get on that, Bonehead. You're a little behind the curve on that. Yes. John Wayne says, is the Lone Ranger show on YouTube? Yeah, you got, go to, there's an actual channel that says the Lone Ranger. Go on there, and they actually have, it's pretty nice. They have them categorized in per season. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, go check them out. James Spader, Brian. Yes, that's right, Bonehead says. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Wayne says that too. Okay, James Spader was in Wolf with Jack Nicholson. Got it. All right. Thank you, Wayne. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are talking about favorite werewolf movies. I do love, of course, the classic Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr. I just, probably one of my more favorite movies is Curse of the Werewolf. Again, Hammer Horror with Oliver Reed. But I will say that Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and they're starting to get into the, House of Dracula, House of Frankenstein, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Okay, they're starting to really franchise this, the monsters at this point, Universal was. But I will say, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman has a very, very awesome opening scene with the grave robbers going in to rob the grave of Larry Talbot. Oh man, what a perfect atmosphere! Setting in the cemetery. It is so cool. If you forget what that looks like, it's worth checking out. It really is. All three were done very well, I thought. Paul says. Wayne says thoughts on the remake of The Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp as Tonto. Well, I didn't care for that movie because I didn't mind Johnny Depp. I didn't mind how do I say? Here's what I was hoping to see with the remake, because I was a big Lone Ranger fan. I still am. I mean, I am. I really am. But so when I saw the 2013 movie, if I hadn't have, I honestly, I would have walked out of that movie. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it because, now there's a couple ways of looking at it. I understand it was the same people who made Pirates of the Caribbean. So they were looking to do, I guess if you were a big Batman fan, it'd be the same thing as the, kind of the hokey Adam West and Burt Ward. So I get that if that's what they were doing. They were going more for the Pirates of Caribbean, or Caribbean, however you choose to say it, look and feel to it. But that really wasn't what a lot of people were expecting to see, because who was Dynamite Comics had just come out years before that with a revision of the Lone Ranger comics, and then you can get to graphic novels with those of those different volumes, but really cool stories. And then we got the almost comedy version that really made a mockery of the hero. It wasn't anything you could really cheer for. And if this was a younger viewer's first impression of the Lone Ranger, I mean, it's very forgettable. But like I said, you know, their thoughts on making it comedic was, you know, that was fine. It was a Pirates of the Caribbean type of look and feel to it. So in that regards, they did that well enough, but it didn't fit with that character. I don't think it did. In fact, even when the 1981 Legend of the Lone Ranger came out, I thought it was going to be a lot more like, I was hoping, because I was a kid, I just saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. I was hoping it would be a lot more action like that, you know, involved. I was hoping for something really exciting. It wasn't horrible, but it just fell short of what it could have been. I'm still waiting for a great Lone Ranger movie, although I have I'm not holding out any hope for today's writers. They're not the same kind of writers I grew up with. They want to just destroy classic characters, classic heroes, make them into jokes. Paul says, "Who was the doctor in the first Howling?" Oh, geesh, I wouldn't know off the top of my head. Maybe someone's already answered that. I'm a little behind on there. Bonus says, "I don't know if I should be able to include this, but I liked the werewolf in Hotel Transylvania series." I gotta say, I did see that one. Frank says, or if I did, I don't recall it off the top of my head. Frank says, "Frankenstein meets the Wolfman was pretty cool. Watch that on Captain USA Groovy Movies." Ah! Bonus says, "The Lone Ranger remake and yet another movie I ain't seen yet." Well, you're not missing anything. It really was just, if you like the Lone Ranger, like, you know, if you're close to my age and you grew up and you were probably expecting something, oh, I don't know, good. I don't know. There's probably a lot of people out here who did enjoy it because they didn't hold that character with such high regards, you know. And I really was. I was hoping to see something, or at least if they could have done it, you know, as well as they did the, you know, the Zorro movie, you know, with Antonio Banderas. That was pretty cool, and that wasn't, you know, totally serious, but it had some jovial parts in there. But this one, they just didn't do it right. John says, "Today is the birthday of Thurl Ravenscroft, the original voice of Tony the Tiger." Okay, all right, this is cool. He also sang the classic song "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch," and the opening and closing songs from the Milton the Monster Show. He also plays in various Disneyland themed park shows and rides, like voice of Uncle Theodore on the Haunted Mansion ride. Very cool information. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Stephanie says, "Hey, y'all, sorry I'm late. I just got home from the book club and now sitting down with dinner." Ah, well, thank you for joining us, Stephanie. We're glad you made it. Let's see. Bonus says, "Welcome aboard, Frank." And well, I thought I was the only guy who used to watch Commander USA on the USA Network. Oh no, I remember Commander USA. Tom says, "Oliver Reed was a most unlikely Wolfman." Yeah, yeah. But I thought he did fine. I enjoyed the movie. Night Flight, Bonehead. Tom says. Paul says, "There was a great line in the first Howling. He cornered the lady reporter in the strip room store and said, 'Let me give you a piece of my mind,' as he dug into his head." Yeah. Laser Corner says, "Can we just have Airwolf back?" Airwolf! Yeah, oh my gosh, that's a blast from the past. Let me get a little caught up here. Yes, Commander, not Captain. It's been a while, but his episodes are still on YouTube. Bonus is Captain USA. Oh, okay. Renee, PBS Lasers. Let's see. John Wayne says, "Which was the last good werewolf film that came to the cinema?" You know what? The last one that I remember seeing was the remake of The Wolfman. I normally, you know, I'm not a big truist as far as, oh, you can't make that remake. If it's done well, and in this case, I thought the remake was done. I thought it was enjoyable. I did like the remake of The Wolfman. What was that? 2010, 2010. I don't know, 2011, something like that. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I just thought the ending. I thought the ending could have went a little a different way, and I would have been happier. But overall, I thought it was cool. John Wayne says the Zorro film was good. I recently watched the old TV series. Yeah, I Zorro was another hero of mine growing up. I used to pretend I was Zorro, get my grab a stick out of the woods, and that was your sword. So didn't take much. You just had to have a little bit of imagination, and you could be anything back then. Bonin says, I heard Will Smith is going to be Popeye. That's just not right. I don't understand Hollywood and how they got to throw black people into established movie roles. I think that's absolutely stupid. I don't know. I hadn't heard that. I hadn't heard where he's going to be Popeye. The last mention of Popeye I had known about was Robin Williams. So I didn't know that they were planning on doing a Popeye movie. Tom says Oliver Reed also did a flick as Jekyll Hyde too. Now you got me there. I actually didn't. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Al says, who liked the 2010 Wolfman remake? I did. I did. Will Smith as Popeye. John Wayne says. Yeah, that's first I'm hearing of that. Not that I'm big on my Popeye news, but Paul says, off topic, you have to see The Devil Ring, Tom, William Shatner, Ernest Borgnine. I can't spell on drugs, darn it. Let's see. All right, let me get caught up a little bit. Stephanie says, by the way, any werewolf movie I like is in black and white, or with Lon Chaney. Ah, Wolfman. Classic. And I've got the Frankenstein meets the Wolfman back here, and also House of Dracula and House of Frankenstein. And I mean, I'll throw it in here as a notable mention because it does have Lon Chaney Jr. and Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. That's the one with Glenn Strange. We were talking about the Lone Ranger earlier. Glenn Strange, of course, played on the very first episode of The Lone Ranger, Season 1, Episode 1 and 2, maybe, as Butch Cavendish, the outlaw responsible for the origin of the Lone Ranger. So we can thank Glenn Strange for that, and Lon Chaney Jr., and of course Bela Lugosi reprises his role as Dracula in Abbott Costello, maybe. Yeah, they were really going full franchise at that point. Wayne says, we can't forget John Gries, Gries, who got to play a werewolf in 2 classic movies, The Monster Squad and also Fright Night 2. Ah, okay. I like the look of the werewolf in The Monster Squad. I don't remember Fright Night 2. I mean, I remember seeing it, but I only saw it the one time, and that was when it first came out at the theater, so I don't have a whole lot of memory of that one. Let's see. Let me try to get caught up a little bit. Frank says, the remake of The Wolfman I thought was pretty good. Great actors, Anthony Hopkins, great effects. Would like to watch that at the drive-in. Oh, that'd be cool, especially that scene where you first see the werewolf, and you see all these guys in the fog, and they're being ripped, just like being attacked, and drug away. The Popeye movie didn't work, Richard says. No, I don't know. I never saw it. I wasn't ever big on Popeye, but what? That wasn't a blockbuster? Why? Let's see. Oh, Paul says, I hope you all know I consider you family for getting me through last year. Well, we are glad to be here for you, Paul. I know you had a very rough last year. Hopefully this year will be better on you. So, how about the Underworld movies? Richard says, I only saw one of those. It might have been the first one. I gotta say, I haven't really, I never really got into those, the Underworld movies, but Some of you might like that, the lycanthropes and against the vampires. Bonus says, Paul, I'm sure I can speak for the whole Chillinite family and tell you, you were always here for each other. Yeah, we're always here for each other and still hoping for a cure for your Manos addiction. LOL. Yes. Oh, that's sad. Frank says, love Abbott and Costello. John says, John Wayne says, if they want to use Will as Popeye, that would be like Bruce Willis as Shaft, but come to think of it, that could be very entertaining. Yeah, I don't know about anymore. Poor Bruce. Paul says, I love the collection of movies, Brian, who played Igor in The House of Frankenstein. I don't know who played the House of Frankenstein. I'd have to look it up, but as soon as somebody says it, I'm going to say, that's it, that's right. The lichens, werewolf creatures were cool, Richard says. Let's see, Stephanie says, sending air hugs to you, Paul. Bonus says, getting to watch any movies at a drive-in would be great. Wait, what, Brian, you don't like Popeye? He's great. I didn't say I didn't like him. I just said I never really... I remember watching the cartoons when I was little, but I didn't see by the time the movie came out in the 80s, wasn't it the 80s with Robin Williams, I just didn't go see it. I know it was a lot of people who didn't see that one, I guess. John says, you drive to the drive-in to watch movies. Bonus says, Dwight Fry, not in House of Frankenstein. It was, what the heck is his name? He's actually, it was in quite a bit of movies. The hunchback assistant to, Boris Karloff played Dr. Neiman in that movie, the mad scientist character, and he had promised to make the Igor character, promised to put his brain into the creature, I believe. No. He promised to put the assistant's brain into Larry Talbot's head so he could have his body, because he was envious of Larry Talbot being a young, strong man, and the gypsy woman was in love with him, so he was envious of that. And I don't remember. Do I have? No, I have it over on the shelf somewhere. Oh, you're going to make me look this up, aren't you? Stephanie says, I like driving movies. I do too. I used to enjoy them. House of Frankenstein cast. All right, here we go. J. Carroll Nash, Naish. So, that's it. That's him. See if I can find a picture of him. Yeah, he was. I've seen him before in other movies. Remember him in a Western movie with John Wayne. So, let's see. John says, the Wolfman from Stephen King's Silver Bullet was as terrifying as he was surprising to know from the town priest was the Wolfman. Yeah. See, I enjoyed that movie. A lot of people don't. They don't care for that movie. I think it's a fun movie to watch. Michael McBride says, good evening, everyone. Hey, Michael, thanks for joining us. We're talking about werewolf movies, and I just had different pictures up here. Werewolf, the old Aurora model kit for folks my age and older. I'm sure remember the old Aurora kits. And of course, the only hero that could likely kill a werewolf is the Lone Ranger. That is me dressed up in my cheap version of the Lone Ranger, but it's supposed to be the Lone Ranger. You know, with the silver bullets and all that. Um, Frank says, the drive-in at Butler or in Brookville, both are awesome. Yeah. Yeah, not too far from me at all. Let's see. Richard says, what modern-day actors would be good playing werewolves? I don't know. Modern-day actors. All right. There's a good question. What do you guys think? Michael says, I agree. I enjoyed Silver Bullet as well. John says, we still have one drive-in cinema left in Munich. It was the only cinema that was allowed to open during COVID, so COVID kind of saved it. Why, it's amazing to me that they wouldn't allow, that they would close drive-in cinemas during COVID, Frank says, you look good as Lone Ranger. Ah, thank you. Thank you. Stephanie says, cute costume, Brian. Oh, thank you very much. Bonin says, yes, Silver Bullet was a goodie, too. Yeah, what would a werewolf do against the Lone Ranger? He'd have to sneak up on him, I would think. I mean, the Lone Ranger's like an expert marksman, sharpshooter. He can shoot a gun out of a bad guy's hand, I'll tell you. It's like he's got the accuracy of like of a trick shooter, and he's got silver bullets. So come on, I mean, there's really no contest there. Frank's is such a noble character. He is. I had a picture of it was me as the Lone Ranger beside the Jack Shadow, and I can play either hero or villain, man or monster. Robert says, dog soldiers. Yeah, somebody had mentioned that earlier. That's believe it or not, I haven't seen that one. I know that's such a popular movie, and it's so well known, and I've just never got around to seeing that one. I don't know why. I have nothing against it. I just haven't seen it. Wayne says, wouldn't the Lone Ranger technically be just the Ranger since he had Tonto there and he wasn't truly lone? Yes, that is correct. Unless on another technicality, he was the Lone Ranger. Because Tonto's with him, but he's not a Ranger. Maybe that's where it's going. I know originally the idea was he was the lone survivor out of the Rangers, and that's where the lone part came from. But yeah, I'd feel a little slighted if I was Tonto. Like, who am I? What do you mean? What do you mean you're alone? What do you think I'm doing? PBR says, Jack Nicholson did a werewolf movie. Yeah, we had mentioned that earlier, that wolf movie. I think somebody had mentioned it came out in '94, so it came out a while ago. Michael says, I could see Keanu Reeves would make a good modern-day werewolf. Ah, that was to the question by Richard, what modern-day actors would be good playing werewolves? You know who I think would be, Bonin says, he was the only Ranger, perhaps. Yeah, out of the two, huh? John Wayne says, film idea, werewolf versus Bigfoot. That would be the hairiest movie of all time. Yes, the hairiest, the scariest. Werewolf versus Bigfoot. All right, somebody get to work on that. Somebody call your people. Get this started. Al says it would be a great movie, The Lone Ranger versus the Werewolf. Yeah, I think so. I can imagine them. Back in the 60s, they had some really funky cartoons of the Lone Ranger and Tonto. And they were pretty cool. I mean, they were fighting robots and ice monsters and all kinds of weird things. So I'm surprised that they didn't put a werewolf in there. Maybe they did, and I just kind of overlooked that one. I watched a few of them. It was kind of cool because, like, that's the first time that I see Tonto actually using well, I think he's used it before. Rarely he's used it in the live action series, but you know, he used it a lot more, you know, in the cartoon, the bow and arrow. So, and he had an eagle. I'm trying to think of the eagle's name. I can't think of the eagle's name. I didn't watch a lot of those, but yeah, they why not? Why hasn't somebody thought of this? Sure, they thought of it, but Frank says, maybe Tonto could use his Hollywood Native American beliefs to do battle with it. The Native Americans call them skinwalkers. Yeah, I thought that it would be kind of cool because we were talking about this topic one time about the, you know, it came up. I'm sure I brought it up because I'm a Lone Ranger fan and I love horror. So, but yeah, it'd be kind of cool with like Tonto having that kind of like, you know, knowing these type of legends and having some kind of ancient knowledge of the skinwalkers or the werewolves, and between his knowledge of that and the Lone Ranger's silver bullets, man, I mean, really, the werewolf, there would have, you know what, to make it challenging, I would think that there would have to be multiple werewolves in that storyline. Unless they totally didn't suspect. I don't know. They're pretty good. They're pretty good at figuring like stuff out. You know, their detective work's pretty good. Let's see. Bonin says, "Hey, Godzilla versus Loch Ness Monster. Nah, that'd be a mismatch. Godzilla versus Gamers would be a great movie. I don't see that happening. Yeah, Godzilla would just step on the Loch Ness Monster. That wouldn't take long, would it?" Frank says, Bigfoot versus the werewolf? Throw in a Wookiee? Oh! Yeah. No, Lucasfilm would be too stingy with it. No, it's ours. John says, oh, a question. Who is going to see Lisa Frankenstein this weekend? Oh, that's right. That's right. I had mentioned that last week about the list of movies coming out in 2024. I can't say that I'm going to be lined up to watch Lisa Frankenstein. I seen the trailer and thought it was a different twist on the story. In the movie, Lisa accidentally revived a Victorian corpse and begins to rebuild him into the man of her dreams with body parts from school bullies and a broken tanning bed inside of the family garage. Okay. Hey, somebody made a movie out of that? But not the Lone Ranger and Tonto fighting werewolves? Richard says, such a cool show, The Lone Ranger. I had the Lone Ranger figure and horse. I still have them. I mean, I don't still have them. I had them as a kid. I had the Lone Ranger and Tonto. All right, I just... but I saw them on eBay. Somebody was selling the Lone Ranger and Tonto figures and their horses, Scout and Silver. And man, they have all the accessories. They had all the, you know, the guns and everything. So I had to make a quick purchase. So I own those. I want to get those set up in my office somewhere. The Wookiee would come out when the two mated. John Wayne says. Maybe is that how you get Wookiees? Bonehead says. Uh-oh, there goes Bonehead going on about Godzilla. Al says, we did a werewolf versus Bigfoot on stage for one of our Halloween Bloodfest shows. I was the werewolf. Well, who won that scenario, that particular scenario? John Wayne says, wasn't there Godzilla versus King Kong? Oh, yeah, there have been a couple of those. Yes. Stephanie says, did you win, Al? Yeah, that's kind of what I'd like to know. Who won? The werewolf or the Squatch? Sasquatch. Now, while you're doing that, while you're coming up with your answer, maybe it's not a yes or no answer. Maybe there's a little bit of an involved response there. We shall see. While you're doing that, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to play a skit from Jack Shadow. It's about 2.5 minutes. All right. But here is, while we're waiting here, Here is, for the next 2.5 minutes, enjoy a skit of Jack Shadow. And give me some feedback if the sound is not up to par. Just put this in here before the show. So here we go. Check it out. See you in about 2.5 minutes.
Do the black pins really hold the power of life and death? Is it possible that some type of sinister force connects the two? We hear about this type of thing in voodoo. Are we seeing the dark powers at work? As important as all of this is, seeing how we're watching the movie and all, I have something of immeasurable importance to do that I have to do right now. Excuse me. Walter? Yes, well, look, I don't want to alarm you, old boy, but I'm looking out the castle window right now, and I see something of grave concern to you. Yes, don't look now, but there's a tremendously ugly, suspicious-looking person walking about in your vicinity. Yes, I'm concerned, too. Look, he's about 5'9" or so, thin build, sort of a grayish pale skin tone, shuffling and stumbling about. I wouldn't doubt that he's a drunkard, probably. I mean, he probably smells bad, too, just to let you know. He's just incredibly hideous to behold. Just an unsightly chap. Yes, well, try not to panic. Where is he? Well, he's about 30 meters south of the castle, in the cemetery area, next to the big oak tree. Yes. That's it. Just pure ugly. What's that? That's where you're standing? Well, that's weird. Well, what's he wearing? Well, what are you wearing? Yes, well, that's coincidental, because that's what he's wearing, too. What? That's you? Oh, well, sorry about that. Okay, take good care. King of the Dark Domain's job is never done. Well, let's get back to the exciting conclusion, too. I bury the living. Ooh. Oh, there's Melvin. There's another one. Excuse me. Melvin? Yes, well, look, I don't want to alarm you, old boy, but I'm looking out the castle window right now, and I see something of grave concern to you.
Oh, that Jack Shadow, that rascal prankster. But it says, well, Brian, as you know, my birthday is tomorrow. Ah, well, happy early birthday. You always send me a happy birthday greetings every year. Thanks for that, by the way. I got a Godzilla World Destruction and a City Demolished World Tour shirts. Awesome. Well, happy birthday to you. Hopefully you have a wonderful day tomorrow. But it says, yes, Duke there was King Kong versus Godzilla in the 60s, and Godzilla versus Kong from a couple years ago. Yeah, 1962 I think was the King Kong versus Godzilla. I remember watching that when I was a kid on Chiller Theater. Let's see. Michael says, funny feature. Oh, thank you. PBR says, great skit. Thank you. And Tom sent me, he texted me this, the best werewolf transformation ever. I don't know if you guys ever saw this. This is hilarious. I wonder if this actually plays or if it's just a still. Let me see if I can play it. Oh, I know. Watch this. Watch the effects, folks. Movie magic you're about to see. How do they do it? Whoa, that's insane. Whew. Ah, that's crazy. That's funny, Tom. Paul says, Dr. Jack, I had my colonoscopy yesterday. Dr. Jack and Manos Torgo did a great job. I did say that they got both ends of the stick. Happy birthday. Wow. I hope everything came out okay. Good luck with your results. Michael says, happy birthday to you, Bonehead. Yes. Let's see. Bonehead says, thank you so much, Miss Stephanie Press. You're a very sweet person. I'm glad you're part of the Chiller Night crew. Al says, it's always good to see Jack in action. Yes. Yeah, I started putting those on there to where, you know, it's fun. I have fun doing the different voices, you know. Doing the, of course, the Jack Shadow voice, and then doing the different zombie voices. I'm trying to find some that I used to do a lot more voice different characters on the show back when it was Sleepy Hollow Theater. Let's see. Oh, PBR says, have you seen the TV Manimal? Yeah, I remember that one. Truly trippy human into animal transformations. That was back in the days where... oh, and also, speaking of TV, came out around that same time was Werewolf. It was a TV series starring Chuck Connors. Chuck was the old... he was a werewolf, but he was one of the old you know, grizzled, you know, tough characters on the show. And it had a younger character who had been scratched or bitten by a werewolf, and now he turns into a werewolf every week. And I don't remember much about it. I started watching it. I found it on YouTube. I don't know if it was supposed to be on YouTube, but I found an episode on YouTube. I started watching it one time, and I just didn't have time to finish it. But yeah, but Manimal, yeah, that was right when they were coming up with all those like Thriller, you know, and the American Werewolf in London, The Howling, those new, you know, pneumatic effects with the werewolf, and the prosthetics, and the reverse filming, and the reverse effects of the hair growing out, and the snouts and all that stuff. It was pretty cool, and the bladder effects with the latex. Those were pretty cool. Pretty neat. Oh, there's my baby sending me some hearts right back at you, baby doll. I hope you're having a good night. John Wayne says, while we're on the subject, did one of you used to make prank calls in the past? Maybe. Way back in maybe the 70s and 80s when you could get away with that. Bonus says, and I'm being nice, Paul. After all, I didn't ask you if they found your head up there. Did I now with the colonoscopy? Oh, opponent, that's very nice of you not to ask him that. You know, Paul, you should thank him for being so nice to you. Paul says, Werewolf was on Fox in the 80s. Yeah, Werewolf. Yep, the series. Yep, I remember that. Michael says, somehow I never saw that series on TV. Yes. Yeah, I used to love that. I was so excited. I was so excited for that. Bonus says, thank you there, Paul. I'm getting older, but I sure ain't getting any better. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? I wanted to mention something here real quick. You guys know I'm a the Walking Dead fan. I know the later years, the quality of the show really tapered off, but I am excited about seeing the new series. The Ones Who Live will be coming out on Sunday, February 25th on AMC, of course, and it will, I mean, I'm sure everybody's aware of this. It will feature Rick and Michonne reuniting. I take it that's where they're going with this. They've been apart too long. Get them together again. But yeah, that's coming out later this month, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Ava and I, that was our big thing. Watching The Walking Dead every Sunday. That was our thing, and then The Talking Dead afterwards. And COVID just came along and ruined that with the Talking Dead for a while. But then it was never quite the same. It never really recovered that show. But yeah, the later years of the Walking Dead, they were trying too hard, in my opinion. But I'm not saying the TV producers or whoever necessarily did this, because I think the comics probably went this route too, and I don't know enough about it. I'm just guessing. Where they were taking all these minor little characters who nobody cared about, like, or I should say me. maybe they just didn't make me happy, but they took these unimportant side characters who really, I mean, it's tough enough to carry an episode with one of the side characters like Carol or Daryl, and they you could do that with them, but to get I say side characters, they're more in the the main group, but still. I don't know. You get these other characters, and they tried to make them on the same level that you're supposed to care about these characters. I didn't. I didn't know half their names, and that's where it started to really, But we did it. We watched the last week. We hung in there for the last few years because that was our thing up, from 2010. So we stuck it out. But I am looking forward to this. So we'll see how it goes. Frank says, anybody remember the 3 ways you become a werewolf? Well, I know if you get bit or you get scratched. Now, in Curse of the Werewolf, it is a very strange way. This boy was born of a wild man who was conceived in a prison. And not a very good way at all. The man was very animalistic, as it were. And then he was born on, it's a Christmas Day. And the old folklore the old legend was that God is jealous of a baby who was born on Christmas Day. What? But anyways, a curse shall befall him. So he became a werewolf, apparently. So, but that was, what was the other way? In Werewolf of London, now he was attacked, the botanist doctor, and he was scratched or bitten, so he became, and then they had the effects of the plant. There's a plant. Oh my, what is it? Wolfbane. That you rub that on you, and that cures you, I guess. I don't know. I don't know who makes up these rules, but that's the one that I can think of. Bonus says death, taxes, and marriage, Frank. But the 3 ways to become a werewolf. John Wayne says, I'm currently restoring an old TV from the 70s and matching Betamax video recorder for that authentic late-night horror film marathon feeling. Awesome. It is 8:54. Let me put real quick for those who you're on here, you're wondering, what the heck is Chiller Night? What's he talking about? Well, it is a store that I have at the Cranberry Mall, the Chiller Night Escape Experience, horror-themed escape rooms. There's my store at there's a better look at it. At the Cranberry Mall in Venango County. I have the Zombie Outbreak Escape Room. You can book that at chillernight.com or call 814-209-8214. Of course, we added Jack Shadow's House of Terror Haunted House last year, and I'll be changing that up a bit for this year. I've got like 9 major changes that I'll be doing this year for that one. And the Witching Hour is the one I'm currently working on. And if all goes right, I'll be opening up another one this, 2 of them in 2024. Plus the addition of, now these are not my pictures. These are from Larry Kirshner's gift store in his haunt in the darkness. But just to give you an idea, Ava and I are thinking about opening up a gift shop in that store, in the storefront. You know, with having gifts like this stuff here, masks and monster toys and merchandise and collectibles and T-shirts and stuff like that. So, so there's a lot going on this year that we're trying to get done here for the store. John Wayne says, "How is business going? Are people still escaping from your escape room?" Yeah, I just had a couple groups go through the other night, and one group didn't make it, and the next group after them did make it. So about 70% success rate for that one, for that particular escape room. Let's see. Paul says, "Guys, I have to help Mom get ready for bed. See you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Love you guys. Be safe. Oh, you got the 4 brother. Love you, family." All right, Paul. Thanks for joining us tonight. Oh, Frank says 1 was drink the water out of a wolf. Oh, out of a wolf print under a full moon. Say, how are you drinking water? Okay. Did this in Alaska. I'm still waiting. Uh-oh. Will you let us know how that goes? And then John says, "For your entertainment, you've been viewing Chiller Night Live with Bryan Hogue. This is Crozectagram reminding you, get ready for the big weekend ahead, and don't forget that Valentine's Day is coming too. Until next week, stay chilled and keep thrilled." That's right. And if you are interested in watching Chiller Night Theater, hosted by Jack Shadow, of course, you can still go to Stream TV by going to streammedia.tv. It is on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So check it out. I don't know what movie will be playing at 9 o'clock, but there's two movies, 2 episodes that Stream TV does play at 9. The first one's at 9, and then the second one's right after that. So, John Wayne says, or Michael says, "Good night, Paul." And John Wayne says, "Here in Europe, especially over in Eastern Europe, many people still believe in werewolves and vampires." Interesting. Bonehead says, "Shoot, Brian, I couldn't make it out of the closet, let alone an escape-proof room." Al says, "Have a good howling night, everyone." Ah, you too, Al. And thank you guys for joining me and each other for another week of Chiller Night Live. Al says, "Have a good howling night, everyone." What do we do next week? Favorite Frankenstein movie? Maybe we'll do that. All right, so let's see. Yeah, let's do Frankenstein next week. This is kind of fun. All right, so folks, thanks again for, like I said, joining myself, joining each other here, and have a good night. Have a good chiller night. We'll see you next week.